So it would appear that the projection of strength from Israel and the U.S. is fake. Israel cannot fight any of its wars on its own, and therein is our leverage if the U.S. used it. If the U.S. used it. They can't fight on their own. Trump is coming out, and there's grumblings in the background that they've been stopping missiles from coming in. I'm going to remind you guys, I wrote the media for years telling them that Israel was going to be attacked. Now, they didn't want that. I can only surmise that they wanted to be attacked. And if anyone specifically on that side wants to come at me over that, come at me. 7 years worth of emails forecasting this future, writing to the media, telling them that Israel was going to be attacked. I had two friends who knew people at the Rachel Maddow show who contacted the Rachel Maddow show. And do you want to know what happened? Both of them, who didn't know each other, ended up getting stories. They ended up getting candy. They ended up getting something to boost their egos. They ended up getting stories written about what they were doing. And they dropped my questioning, not my questioning, but the information. They dropped giving that information. It was like it was no longer in their heads anymore. It was like they were mind wiped. Both friends. So let's review where American leverage is. Israel cannot fight these fights by themselves at all. They can't. That's where our leverage is. And that's where America can grab a hold of the narrative if our leaders wanted to actually protect American people and not just Israel. I'm so fucking sick of this shit.
Just like Israel could not fight one day without the United States, and that's literally true, I'm sorry to say. Hezbollah and Hamas could not fight a day without Iran and other support. This costs money. This is big weapons. This is a political issue. This is not a terrorist issue. Netanyahu's absolute devastating mistake, which he writes about in 1996 in his book, Fighting Terrorism. It's the whole explanation of why he's so messed up in his head. He says, because we have Hamas and Hezbollah, and they are supported by Syria, by Iraq, by Iran, by Sudan, by Libya, we have to overthrow all the governments that support these. I'm not making this up. This is in print. Then he explains it to the U.S. Congress in 2000. He explains this. I know this because I study this for a living. He explains this to the American Congress. You overthrow Saddam, it'll be beautiful. Look what'll happen in Iran next door. The plan was 7 wars in 5 years. This is all well documented. The problem is not Hamas and Hezbollah. Why? Because if you make an agreement with Iran, if you make an agreement with the Arab countries, they will be disarmed and dismembered as part of the agreement. This is so obvious. This is an excuse. This is not a reality. This is an excuse of Netanyahu, who has been the biggest disaster in Israel's history by far.
American people, they don't tell anybody, but you can watch step by step we've had 6 of those 7 wars. The only one that hasn't happened is Iran. And if you watch every day now, the MSM, the mainstream media, is pushing for U.S. war with Iran. Netanyahu's pushing for war with Iran. They're really trying to get this started to make 7 out of 7.
The U.S. using Israel? No. This is Israel using the U.S. as if our military is in their hands, which in effect it is. You take Wolfowitz and you take Feith and you take these neocons and you take Netanyahu. They game planned the whole thing out. Well, I regard Netanyahu as having been our greatest disastrous president of the 21st century because he ran American foreign policy for 20 years and he cost us trillions of dollars. And where is the Middle East today? War in Syria, war in Lebanon, war in Palestine, unrest in Iraq, the war in Yemen, chaos in Sudan, chaos in Somalia, chaos in Libya. Great job, Bibi. You did a terrific job. Netanyahu has a different idea. His idea is we captured the Palestinian lands in 1967 and we're never going to give them back. So we're just going to rule over the Palestinians. He says we're going to keep the land. There will be resistance. Hamas, Hezbollah, other militant resistance. What will we do about it? You can't really fight the terrorists, he says. You have to fight the states that back the terrorists.
And Iran is the central one in his mind.
But interestingly for Netanyahu, he lays out one by one, yes, of course, Iran is the central one in his mind, but so too is Iraq under Saddam. He supported Hamas. So too is Bashar al-Assad in Syria. Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Somalia, Sudan, and Libya. And you know what the plan was? 7 wars in 5 years.